Matthew Harper. I'm the mayor for the city of Huntington Beach, and I want to thank you all for being here for this beautiful day. It's a day for remembrance, but it's also a day to acknowledge why we're here, and we'll get into that when the speakers talk about why we have this here at the Huntington Beach Pier for so many people to be able to see. I would like to introduce some of my colleagues. As most of you may know, this effort was supported unanimously by the Huntington Beach City Council, and I want to thank all of my colleagues for being in support of this. I've seen here today Mayor Pro Tem Joe Shaw, Councilmember Connie Boardman, Councilman Joe Carcio, Councilman Dave Sullivan will be speaking very soon, and also Councilwoman Jill Hardy is here as well. Thank you all for being here, and let's go ahead and get forward with the program. I think this will be very important in terms of understanding how we can confront this issue going into the future. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Harper. And thank you, everybody, for coming here on this day to celebrate the life of Robin Samsoe and this beautiful new memorial we're going to unveil officially in just a couple of minutes. My name is Chris Septing. I'm a local journalist, and a little backstory on what gets us here in the first place. A couple of months ago, I wanted to write a column about Robin Samsoe, which 35 years ago this summer, tragically, she was taken from this world. Now, like a lot of you I know, we get tired of families and victims being sort of forgotten in the swirl and fascination that people have with the wrong thing. So it was important to me to write a piece just about Robin. And I reached out to Robin's brother, Robert, and he was very hesitant at first. We had a couple of phone calls, and he was curious what the premise of the piece was going to be, and he asked a lot of hard questions. We had a couple of email sessions, and I told him what I wanted to do, and we reached our piece, and I wrote it. But what I was really impressed by, what struck me most about our exchanges was, even 35 years down the line, this was an older brother protecting his baby sister. And when you meet all the Samsoes, you realize that's what they all do. They don't just protect her, though, they celebrate her and they bring her to life. I never knew Robin. I grew up in New York. I remember when this happened. But through the family, I've gotten to know Robin, and I think all of you will today as well after you hear from each of them in a few minutes. And so I write the article, it comes out. Within the piece, I sort of suggest that wouldn't it be a great idea? As a historian, I love historic markers. I love seeing things that denote special people and places. So I raised that idea in the column, and I sent the column to Councilman Dave Sullivan. Within an hour, I received a response, literally within an hour. Not just a resounding, yes, I'd love to see this happen, but here's the language that I'm going to draft for City Council in 5 days. This was in an hour. I think that tells you all you need to know about Dave Sullivan. And we went to council a few nights later, and as Mayor Harper mentioned, every council member, Councilman Shaw, Carcio, Mayor Harper, Sullivan, Councilman Catapodis, Councilwomen Hardy and Connie Boardman, all spoke beautifully and eloquently. The family was there that night, and Carcio, it was a wonderful, wonderful night. And from that moment, everybody kind of kicked in. Community services, public works, this became a wonderful team effort. There was a task force that Councilman Shaw and Carcio and Sullivan and myself were on to help pick a spot and come up with a concept for the marker. This really was the city at its best. It was a remarkable moment. And on that note, I would like to ask Councilman Sullivan to come up and share his thoughts on today. Councilman Sullivan, thank you.
Thank you. Chris is really who we need to thank for this. As you know, or may have observed, council people are rather opinionated. And the reason I mention that is because when this passed, the committee was set up with myself and the two Joes, Carcio and Shaw. And we had some preliminary discussions down at City Hall, but then we came down to this site, and it just happened. There was no discussion. No, it's not going to be a bench out on the pier. It's going to be here. Well, you'll see when it's unveiled. That unanimity, even though we were unanimous, everybody has their own idea, and we never have a meeting that goes longer than an hour. And you see when we do something on television, you know, it goes for 2 hours and it comes out with an elephant with stripes and horns and so on. So I honestly think there was another power guiding us, and I think it was Robin. I'm sorry, I'm emotional and not good at this, but obviously what we've learned about her life, she was a special person. She was taken directly to heaven, according to my beliefs. Amen. And very quickly, this 12-year-old was impressing the senior angels, I'm sure, as she did in her life. And I think it was her inspiration, really, that for all of this to happen. And the lesson that we should take, one of the lessons, probably the most prominent lesson, is Robin spent her life making other people feel better. And there's the phrase, no good deed goes unpunished. To me, that's not true. Any good deed is multiplied. And we've all had this experience where somebody who you might not get along with that well or whatever says something nice to you, and you say, wow, probably I ought to say something nice to some other, you know, and it flows like this. And this city, this spot, 8 million people a year, more than visit the Hawaiian Islands, come here, and they are going to see this monument. They're going to read the inscription, and they are going to get the message. And I think that's the intent. If any of us could just be a little bit like Robin, how much better a community it would be. So, and this, you know, there was no publicity for this. And look at this huge crowd. It's because so many of you knew her due to Chris's efforts talking to the family. We learned more about Robin. We can never fully appreciate your pain, but this is our way of recognizing your wonderful little girl.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Next up, we're also very honored to have Chief Handy here, who's going to come up. Chief, where are you? Chief Rob Handy is going to talk a little bit now. He's made a huge impression in a short period of time with his fine staff here in town. Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I want to thank everybody for coming here today on behalf of the men and women of the Huntington Beach Police Department. Many of our members were involved in this investigation. Most prominently, probably, I'd like to recognize retired Chief Robitel, who's in the audience today, who was the chief during the time. Chief, thank you for your 20-plus years of service as our police chief here and all you've done for Huntington Beach. A couple things I'd like to mention. When the dialogue about Robin and this memorial started, we started as a police department reflecting upon what we do well, what we don't do so well. And I think we do a great job dealing with our victims in the system at the time of our investigation, at the time it works through the court process. We've come an awful long way since the 70s of how we fight predators like this, how we try to prevent these types of crimes. We've also come a long way in how we deal with victims. We have better laws, we have better procedures, we have more empathy. But one area where we realized that we fall a little bit short is our ongoing care and ongoing remembrance of our victims. Every year in Huntington Beach, we have thousands of victims of crime, and somewhere between 300 and 500 victims of violent crime every year in Huntington Beach. And those individual incidents of crime affect victims for years, sometimes even a lifetime. It affects victims, their families, and in cases like this, even sometimes generations it affects. We don't do enough to honor that. One of the things that has come from this and this discussion from us internally and all over the community is we are going to come down here every April during Victims' Rights Week, National Victims' Rights Week, and honor all of the victims of crime in Huntington Beach. Not just today, but in the past as well. We are going to use Robin's memory to help us truly remember and mark and honor victims of crime in this community every single year. And it's really a new step for us. We haven't done it before, so we will hold a crime victims vigil down here every year during April. in Robin's name, but it will also be in the name of all of the victims of crime here in Huntington Beach. And I want to thank the community for coming together so much to support everybody in Huntington Beach. Thank you to Robin's family for being here today and sharing her memory with us. Thank you.
The day just keeps getting better. Thank you very much, Chief. I'd like to bring up Robin's brother, Robert. Again, we met back in April, and we've become friends, and I know you want to talk about your sister, Robert. Robert Samsoe.
I really don't know what to say except for I'm blown away. We, as a family, always have Robin in our heart. We didn't need this, but it touches us. It brings us here. It's always been hard to come back to Huntington Beach for us. It's bittersweet. I got a reason now, and this is pretty damn neat. I'm blown away by the response. Chris, we've been doing this for 35 years. He's the first guy who approached us and told us that he wanted to do a story about Robin. We've done many stories where Robin was the 12-year-old Huntington Beach girl with a monster. And that's always the whole thing, was the monster part. Everybody wants to know about the monster. But now they're going to find out about Robin and what she was. She's got friends here who love her to death. She's got friends in other places where she touched them. Their kids are named after Robin. It changed for everybody when this happened. It was a big eye-opening. I mean, we were running these streets of Huntington Beach like the Little Rascals. It changed, and everybody realized that there's creeps out there, and you can do all you can to protect them, and it still happens. So maybe this will make somebody a little more vigilant on watching your kids, knowing what your kids are doing. I mean, cell phones are great, but they only work for so long, I guess. They go off or die or something. But I just am really touched by this, and I just thank you all from the bottom of my heart for Robin.
Tim Samsoe is here as well, the silent brother of the Samsoe family, who's going to be represented by his daughter Tabitha today. If you'd like to come up, Tabitha, and speak for a moment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm the daughter of Tim Samsoe and the niece of Robin Samsoe. I didn't know her in this life, but I feel like I do in some ways. She is the sun of ray that shines through the break in a cheek of clouds. She is the daisy that blooms in winter, and the smile, the inspiration of the smile in my parents and my sister. She has impacted my life greatly, as well as everybody else's here. We love her so much. She was loved very much in this life, and she's going to be loved forever, and this helps a lot. So I want to thank Chris and the city of Huntington Beach for doing this for us, because it's part of the healing process, and it helps us let other people know and aware of the dangers in the world, and it also helps Robin. This is for her, this is for her memory, and it's what she would have wanted, for us to be together and remembering her for who she was and how loved she was. So I want to thank you all very much for this.
To the point Tabitha made about the city, I don't think anybody can appreciate how quickly this happened. It really is a testament to our city council, as I said, who were just remarkable. Things take long. Red tapes and bureaucracies. People like Janine Lawnback, Community Services, was remarkable. Again, Public Works, this really was something. This is just a couple of months old, so I really do credit everybody in charge right now for helping us get this done so quickly. Taran, Robin's sister, and I have become phone pals the last few months, and it's really been a nice experience for me. Taran, what I really love about our discussions is I learned not just about Robin, but I learned about the remarkable men and women on the police forces and within the legal system that became like family members of yours. I know you're going to acknowledge some of them here today and talk about Robin, so why don't you come on up, Taran Robinson.
I would like to say, first of all, Mom, Robert, Tim, the rest of you, I just really do love you all so much. Robin was the baby of our family. I just never known her to say a bad word to anybody or be mean to anybody ever, and she always wanted to help everybody, and when you were down, she just always wanted to make you smile. And this definitely was a life-changing experience, but due to that experience, we have learned a lot, we've grown a lot, we've gotten to know the Huntington Beach Police Department. Craig Robison, thank you so much. Jim Bogdanoff, we love you. Yes, he's here, Rob.
Wow.
Ron Jenkins, Captain Jenkins, Don Jenkins, Steve Mack, where are you? Okay, there's so many that I just cannot name. But definitely, you are all not forgotten. We just love you all so much. You've become so much like family, and we are just so grateful to you for your efforts and your results, and just even afterwards always being a friend. And I, on behalf of our family, I thank you so much, and I'm sure every one of us feel the same way. There's been a lot, and I've moved away. I moved back to our hometown of Kenosha, Wisconsin, and it's very hard for me, and it's put a big strain on me not always being there at the right time, at the right place, but not everybody deals with it in the same way. I'm sure a lot of people here who are Robin's friends, who have known Robin, learned to know Robin, and will continue to remember her. I just thank you for always being a friend, for learning who she was, and as I was telling my mom, you know, I feel that God chose her because not all of us can pull off being remembered 35 years later, let alone 100 years later. But you have to ask yourself, are you the person that can be remembered? And if you say no, then maybe we should change some of our ways so that we can be a person that can be remembered 35 years later. I personally, I know I have a lot of growing to do, and I don't think I could have pulled it off, but Robin, of course, she was one of those true spirits. Chris wrote in the program, there are two ways of spreading light, to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it, by Edith Wharton. Robin was not only a person who spread the light or who reflects it, she was the eternal flame. And with that being said, I just thank everybody so much for being here, for being a part of this, and hopefully you pass the story on to generations, and that we just never forget the person who Robin really was. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry. Thank you, Chris. Sorry. You're awesome.
When Taran mentions things like Robin being the light, Marianne mentioned it this morning too, that Robin lit up people's worlds. You'll see on the marker after that really is represented well in the fact that there is an eternal light built in. Thank you, Public Works, for the power in there. You'll see it after. I also want to mention too, Jackie, would you stand up please? She was there that day. She chased that monster away that day from Robin. You're very special that you and I walked, you took me over there that day and you traced your steps of what you did. And you'll always be a hero to a lot of us. Thank you. And then last but not least, I remember watching the news reports of these horrific trials that would go on. I always noticed you, Marianne. Robin's mom was this tenacious warrior who didn't take any crap from anybody, who was the parent, I think, we'd all kind of imagine ourselves being as parents. If somebody did this to us, we'd want to kill that person. We'd want to make right by our child. Marianne, would you come up and speak to us for a moment or two? Robin's mom, Marianne.
I just want to say I'm so impressed that there's so many people that care and that are here. My Robin was special, not just because I'm her mother. Of course she was special to me, but she was special to a lot of people. My boys thought that she was a pain in the neck sometimes. She'd be around when they wanted to do boy things. But we managed. And when it came right down to it, they would protect her to no end. I feel like this plaque here, we've needed closure for a long time. We've been in court a long time. And it weighs on you, it ages you considerably. But I think something like this, the city taking with this man taking it upon himself to start it, and the city doing something about it, I think is just amazing. It just shows how much we were right. We loved Huntington Beach. We chose Huntington Beach. Out of all the places we could live, we wanted to be Huntington Beach. And Robin loved this place. About a month before Robin died, I had a car accident. And I was home for a couple of weeks after I was in the hospital, and Robin and I would come down here to the beach. We'd stop at McDonald's and pick up an orange juice and a coffee, and we'd come down here and we'd lay in the sand. And she says, "Isn't this a wonderful place?" She says, "God built this place." She loved Jesus. She loved Jesus. And, but that was her saying, God built this place. You know, it was special to her. And it's become special to us to the point where I'm just thrilled. All these people here and the wonderful people of the police force, they were there for us so many times. I wish Sergeant Jenkins was here because he really was wonderful. He would take my kids to school and they would take them out to lunch. They would come over and check on us, you know. And the day they found Robin, Sergeant Jenkins put his arms on my shoulders and he had tears running down his face. And he said, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what I can do." He said, "I just don't know what I can do." I said, "You found her, you know." I'm overjoyed. I just don't know what to say. You know, most of the time I'm in tears, and they're sad tears. Today they're not. I have my whole family here, all my beautiful grandkids, and my sons and their wives, and my daughter. And you did this, and I'm so thrilled. This is such a neat person. I wish everybody gets to know him, because he's just great. I want to also say something about the reporters. Larry was one of the nicest people that you could possibly meet, and he did such nice work for us. You know, he always wrote positive things about our family. Never anything that you had to cower over. You know, there were truths, but they were nice truths. You know, and he made them sound good. And I think it gave us. Larry knows what to do. He knows the job. But he was always there for us. You know, I always felt like he was writing for us, not just the newspaper, but he was always keeping us in mind, and that meant a lot. Over the years, you kind of lose contact with certain people, and today I see these people here, and it's just amazing that they're here. You know, it's wonderful. I know if Robin was here, she'd be telling you all, "God bless you, this is great." You know, she'd be delighted. I'm nervous, needless to say, but thank you all so much. God gave us such a beautiful day to do this on too. You know, it's just wonderful. I guess that's really all I have to say. I want to thank the city.
I want to say the family is always too generous in their praise. This was really a team thing. I appreciate it. This is our one point of contention where I said, no. There's a lot of people involved in this, but thank you very much. The last thing I want to leave you with before we come up and present this is, if you could, it's sort of a favor, whenever you're out here again, next summer, the summer after, if you ever see somebody looking at this, they might be from New York, Florida, England, wherever. If you see anybody noticing it, engage them, let them know. I had the honor of writing the text on there, but you can write like 3 or 4 lines. You can't tell a complete story, but you know the story now. You heard from these amazing people. You experienced it. So feel free to go say to somebody, hey, this is the story of this girl. It's bigger than this. It's about the city. It's about our community. It's about our government getting it together. This really is a beautiful moment. So I hope as time goes on, as long as you live here or visit here, if you see anybody lingering or reading this, come over, let them know. Be an ambassador for the spirit of this movement, for the spirit of Robin, and for this family, because you heard it all. You're part of history. By hearing these people today, I think you're part of something, we're all part of something really special. So thank you guys for, I don't know how you get up and speak as beautifully and eloquently as you do in the face of all this. Thank you so much. Ms. Huntington Beach, if you would come in, and Marianne, why don't you come up and we're going to have the two of you pull the cord here, as it were, and expose this, okay? You are most welcome for those beautiful flowers. Yes, you do. All right. Thank you, everybody. And now I guess we'll just sort of present photographers in place. Charlie, are you there? Thanks, buddy. Again, you'll notice it's hard to see in the daylight, but there is a light on that lighthouse, that beacon that, oh, and the bubbles come out. Look at this, I think, marvelous. But that light obviously represents Robin. Come up, take a photo with it, share it, tell people about it. And again, thank you so much for being here on this magnificent day. We really appreciate it. To all of you.